Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of In the News. This is a wee mini series that me and my good friend Cameron Bryce are doing, where we talk about everything that's in the news and obviously what's not in the news. Now, look, I won't lie to you, my wee darling angels. This episode is pretty heavy as we talk about some tough topics, but look, I do believe that these are necessary conversations about uncomfortable truths. So we do cover loads of kind of different topics, from the racism highlighted by the invasion of Ukraine to the latest IPCC report on climate change. It is quite a heavy episode, so I think we might need to start kind of balancing out these news episodes by doing guided meditations or something like that, maybe at the end of them, because, you do deserve to also remember your power and remember that you are special and infinite, and we have the ability to make and mould the world in the image that we want it to be. This does kind of it begins in the community. It begins with organising, it begins with developing survival skills and beginning to develop mutual aid processes. All of this is what will ensure that we're on the path to making sure that our communities are out with capitalist control. But yeah, as ever, if you want to support the podcast, then please do check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Radical Radio Scotland. Over there, you can get access to a whole bunch of things, like early episodes and all that stuff. But yeah, with all of that said, let's join the news teams where you are. Yeah, I think we should obviously just start off talking about the racism that's been highlighted by the occupation of Ukraine. Have you seen much about
that? It's mate, it's so sad to see from all sides. Like, can you imagine being in a situation where your country's been invaded and you are trying to get you and your family out of harm's way, and leave everything behind, leave your homes, and then before on your way to a safe country, you're being hauled off trains or you're being stopped at borders, because of your race. Where do you go then? Where do you go in that situation?
Fuck knows, mate.
Where would you go?
You can't answer that.
Yeah, what do you do? Like, people are trapped in a war zone now, and I know that's. I mean, we said this last week. Everything that we say about the Ukraine situation has been people in countries all over the world have been facing that day to day for years and years, but you've got no idea how you would even comprehend dealing with that situation and looking after your family and that as well.
Nah, you're right. You're right. It's horrible, isn't it? It's mad that it was even just before they've even left the country, not just getting stopped at borders in Poland, and then obviously spilling over to here, because we're the only country in Europe that require a visa for Ukrainian refugees.
Yeah, they were bragging about taking in. They being in the Home Office or the government about taking in, we've taken 50 visa applications, and then they were like, no, it's 1,000, and they're like, no, it's actually 5,000. You're like, right, okay, well, Poland have taken in 1 million people.
Yeah.
Did
you see that about I know this is obviously electoral politics and all that, but did you see Michael Gove today?
Gove.
I was calling Michael Gove.
It's 1,000,000% Gove, but
he doesn't deserve his name to be said, right?
That's fair. Good save.
Gov. Have I always done that? Have I always done that?
Yeah, I've heard you do it before. I don't know why I waited to be on podcast episodes.
Oh, mate, for calling me out.
What an opportunity it was, though. Sorry. Right, what were you saying about Michael Gove?
Aye, Michael Gove the day was he was on I don't know what show he was on. One of these mad politics
Politics Today,
talk show
some of that.
talk show
Yeah.
things, yeah. And he was saying that they'd approved, I think it was 300,000
Visas?
visas. Yeah. And then when he got pressed on it, it was like that was actually 3,000.
Yeah, but they've got no actual interest. Everything they do is like stuff like that shows that they've got no real interest in helping people. Like he's obviously just tried to learn a number instead of being actively invested in helping people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. Like it's the same. It's the same with like. I know we were going to talk about this, but it kind of was just what I was going to mention about like performative like actions and stuff. We're going to come on to like sanctions and Roman Abramovich being the sort of high profile like oligarch that everyone knows being sanctioned. But I mean, I have got no. I don't think that there's any other reason than like saving their own skin, because they have waited and waited. I mean, some people say, "Oh well, if they're going to sanction Abramovich, they need to like build their case because I mean he's got as much money as some like small countries. Like he would not hesitate to sue if they started sanctioning him and they didn't have their kind of backs covered. So, but I think that they've also been. Wow, what did Abramovich say when he said a couple of weeks ago he was going to sell Chelsea, right?
Yeah, to their trust.
No, so he passed over stewardship to their trust. He's obviously the owner. He said that he was looking for someone to take over, and all proceeds would be going to like charities that aid the victims of this war, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't say. I don't know. Maybe maybe he did, but like. What that means, what charity that would be, is just going to be the one that's like just six things up out of nowhere. But also, I don't think the British government would trust that that would happen. So sanctions are a way to sort of enforce control over that situation, and kind of freeze and control all of his assets that are in the UK. So. Yeah, I don't trust that the UK are doing, the British government are doing anything to benefit anyone other than themselves, obviously, but obviously still trying to make it out like that.
Yeah, just stealing, isn't it? It's what they do best.
The British government, yeah, that's true.
It's wild though that he's been targeted for this. Obviously, like, Russia's committed a massive crime by invading Ukraine, and you're obviously going to go after the people that make the most money. But it's mad, like, the Russians have never done that to the US for their crimes. Or has anyone ever really done that to the US for their crimes?
What, sanctioning
Yeah.
millionaires? Well, that's the thing, so, like,
you don't see, like, Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk getting sanctioned by Russia.
Mate, you don't even see them getting called oligarchs. And, like, it's the same thing. They're like, lobbying and, I mean, control is the right word, but it feels a bit like tinfoil hat. Do you know what I mean? But it is the way that politics and especially the USA works with like big businesses and
Yeah.
the power of the lobbies. It's the exact same thing. But I mean, have you ever heard of a US oligarch?
Well, that's the thing. They are oligarchs. Like,
Yeah, the cold one.
Yeah. I'm only familiar with that because I've been reading writings for like years that have said that.
Yeah.
But it's not part, like, you never hear it in the media at all.
No.
Do you know, I seen a thing today on Twitter and it was saying that those three, their combined wealth is greater than the top 100 richest Russian oligarchs. Just those three men, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
That's mental.
The three of them have more money than Russia's top richest 100.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're alright.
Well,
They've never done anything bad or been involved in anything like shady and
Yeah.
controlling and undemocratic. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen to Abramovich just because he owned Chelsea, and that was the thing about supposedly why he bought Chelsea in the first place. Because I don't know who knows what sort of like relationships and dynamics and dealings go on between like politicians and billionaires, and especially in like Russia, where I'm not from. But apparently he bought Chelsea to keep have sort of like his money very very like out in the public, but non-threatening, and I don't know. I kind of like mainly for anyone in Russia being upset or annoyed at him. But also, I kind of thought that would have limited like the British government from going in, because I mean that's where they've been granted. Chelsea have been granted that special license as a cultural asset. Do you know, I was like, oh, I doubt they're going to touch like Chelsea like this, because I mean they're a big football team. Some would say.
I hope they get fucked.
Yeah, it would be interesting seeing Everton and Chelsea going down for totally different reasons. Although is Everton not the one that's owned by the another oligarch as well? Maybe not.
Yeah. No, I think they do have pure minted
I think they
owners, do they not?
Yeah. But then that's the thing. So just because we're on the topic of the English Premier League, was it yesterday that came out that Saudi Arabia had the government had beheaded,
Or like
or
81
not beheaded,
people.
um,
Yeah, it was
81
beheaded.
was it 81 people?
Yeah.
We should just sanction everybody, everyone and all the owners in that league.
Well, that's what Subcomandante Marcos was talking about. World War IV will just be everybody sanction each other.
Oh yeah, oh that'll be boring.
Not really.
Nah, be terrible.
I know. Just our economy getting trashed.
I know, but it does
Just
sound boring.
as warfare.
Well, that's hopefully when things will break down, and then we get to rebuild everything.
Yeah, but we do need to start rebuilding now.
I know.
It's mad. It is mad to see though the difference that the Premier League has in opinion towards owners that are oligarchs.
How do you mean?
Like Newcastle are owned by basically the Saudi state, and that's allowed. That's alright.
Well, there was still like campaigns against that happening, not from
I know, but like
the Newcastle fans. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Like the outrage from the media about this should be applicable to like so many other things. Like this invasion of Ukraine should be something that you're against in principle, and that should apply to like Israel and Palestine. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, your people should be principled. You're right. Like their principles should extend further than their own, like whether it benefits them or not.
Yeah.
But then it's difficult as well. See when
It's like just like no country should be doing invading like that.
I know, but see when mate, things are shit for a lot of people just now. Obviously not in the middle of like a war zone, but in the UK, mate, things aren't good for a lot of people, and I mean that's why things like football are so important, because it's not like it's the something you can get behind and support, and it means a lot to so many people. So then, I mean, I don't really blame people for I don't know, switching off a little bit, like we said before with the
absolutely. Like I think
the COVID stuff.
I think our society is built around violence to the point where it's enforcing so much trauma on people, because that's like if people are experiencing traumatic events, like last year we just watched our government be like so blatantly corrupt, it was unreal.
Yeah,
And the psychological implications of that are mental, I
Yeah.
think. Like, you're just like, if they can just do that and get away with that, then what
What's
chance
the
have you
point?
got?
Yeah.
Especially in contrast to things like climate change, where they're hinting to approve new oil fields and all that. All because the price of gas is going up.
Yeah. I mean, our energy price changing is like genuinely mental. How much it's going to go up, from like 1 month to another, and then we'll probably go up again this year.
Yeah.
Our standing electricity charge price has doubled, and the cost of our
think-
bills have gone up. It's
Yeah.
gone up by 50% or something.
Ours tripled.
It's it's not a competition, but yeah.
I'm just saying. Wow,
um,
that's toxic.
no, it's I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand how it can be justified when at the same time we're seeing. I mean, like seeing this constantly, but um, energy, oil and gas like firms, their profits have never been higher, and
Yeah.
everyone's sharing record profits and stuff like that. So why are we being
Yeah. Why is the
why
price
are we
going
being
up
punished?
if it's record
Yeah,
profits?
yeah,
And I think that's essentially just because it's greed. It's I don't like this is getting called inflation, but if it's record profits, yet wages aren't going up, bills are going up.
the price of food is unbelievable as well. I don't remember the last time I
Yeah.
went to the shops just to pick up like a couple of things, and it was less than like a tenner, just for like a couple of bits and bobs. Not even going in for like a proper shop.
I'm
Everything's
gonna do a scout about Aldi tomorrow and see that's the real mark of inflation on it. Aldi.
what's happening with that Aldi's prices.
Yeah, just go in and check check the price of everything there. If it's higher than usual, you're like, fuck man.
Yeah, we're on the cusp of a like a gen like a gen like I reckon we're on the cusp of like record breaking generations of poverty here.
Yeah.
This and we've got the worst government for that. This Tory government, not even particular because again like we keep on saying, they're all bad. But you just don't know how much worse it's going to get with this lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll just end up with like same kind of level of inequality as but it's already like such an unequal country.
Already, I mean,
And
mate,
world.
see, I know, but looking at like into like 2011, we'd already passed the like the poverty gap of like Victorian era poverty gap, and it's still got worse. So
Yeah.
don't really know how far this is going to get. Well,
We've seen the US that the wealth distribution was more unequal than it was during the French Revolution.
yeah, mate. I'm not surprised. When was the last time you were in the US?
2015.
Never been. I've only been one time
Alright.
for a couple of
New
days,
York.
and it
How
was a
weird is
strange
it?
place. It was such a weird place. But it was in LA, and it was like
Do you know Uganda reminded me of the US?
Uganda did.
Yeah.
That's harsh on Uganda.
I know.
Uganda's lovely.
Just like because obviously I think it was so unregulated there. Do you know what I mean? Like, see, mind when we were going about some of the places and they had those shops and they were
Mhm.
painted in the full colours of
Like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was just like a standalone building that was just
yeah,
Coca. Like that was the only distinguishable thing about it. You knew it was a shop because of that, but the full shop was covered in that, and it was like that was mental.
yeah. But it feels like the same way. Like everything can be commodified, and everything has to be commodified. But why is that? Me and Fraser were talking about this. Did we speak about this last week with the community centres?
What about them?
Did we speak about this last week?
Yeah, we did speak about community centres.
It's just the same stuff. It's like why aren't there things that are there for like the public to use? Why aren't there public amenities and more sort of community structures in place for people just to do things. Why like everything shouldn't cost like more money to live.
Yeah.
Why
All
like,
those things get
everything
shut
has to be
down.
money. I know.
Did you listen to that episode I was talking to Fatima from Govan Hill Baths? She was saying, like, during the 90s and early 2000s, like between the Tories and New Labour, the amount of community centres that were lost across Glasgow would like blow our minds.
How much was it?
I don't know. She never gave me she never gave me a figure.
Just didn't want to like properly blow your mind that
I
much.
know.
Never recovered.
Would have just hit the wall behind me.
Yeah, it's sad. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, do you know what? I'm not even stressing about things anymore because it's everything. It's all coming to an end.
Have you made your peace? Well, that's the thing. Did you read the IPCC report on climate change? It was basically saying, like, my main takeaway from that was time to focus on survival rather than prevention.
What did it say? I mean, you sent me it and I forgot to read it. So fill me in.
Mate, you sure you want to know?
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay. This is from The Guardian. 3.5 billion people are highly vulnerable to climate impacts, and half of the world's population suffers severe water shortages at some point each year. 1 in 3 people are exposed to deadly heat stress, and this is projected to increase to 50% and then to 75% by the end of the century. 500,000 more people are at risk of serious flooding every year, and 1 billion living on coasts will be exposed by 2050. Rising temperatures and rainfall are increasing the spread of diseases in people. It's just kind of a lot of more stuff like that. Just a lot, like basically things that are just, mate, it's done, mate. It's time
That
to.
doesn't sound that bad.
Doesn't sound that bad.
I'm so scared.
Even if the world keeps heating below 1.6 degrees by 2100, and we're already at 1.1 degree, then 8% of today's farmland will be climatically unsuitable, just after the global population has peaked above 9 billion. If global heating continues and little adaptation is put in place, 138 million more people are projected to go hungry by 2050. How do you fix that?
It doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense to be like, oh, people. We have the. How do you fix that? We have the capacity to do it, but there's only one thing that's in the way.
Capital.
Yeah, money. People don't want to. People don't want to spend money and stop making money because it's bad for the planet. Like isn't that
sociopathic?
What?
Like just,
yeah, it is.
Like just wanting so much money that you don't even care that it destroys your entire planet that's contained all of the life that we know about for like billions of years. How mental is that though?
I mean, like just now in history, we look back at.
We're just letting them away with it.
Yeah, we look back at like pure tyrannical, like emperors and like kings and stuff like that, kings and pharaohs or whatever, as like maniacs and like power hungry and blah 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 blah. That's what like the billionaires of today are going to be looked back on. They had the sort of the means to save this civilization and have chosen not to. But at the same time, I mean, we all have the power to stop them, but realizing that power is how to get things changed, obviously. That's why radical organising is so important. So if anyone out there is thinking maybe I should do this to help, then this is your sign to get out there and go do something.
Did you see they might approve fracking?
Where?
England probes, but
I'm not surprised with the.
I'm pretty sure the Scottish actually. Hold on, I'll look this up because I'm pretty sure the Scottish Energy Minister said something bizarre about it.
Something bizarre, as in like kind of vague, so like whenever he comes to his decision on what they're going to do about it, he can be like, well, I never really said no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. The SNP, they have that faction, fossil fuel faction within. So, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I'm reading this.
Well, what are you reading?
No, I'm not even. I can't even find it.
Oh,
It's all just old stories.
if you made this up, then
Yeah. I've probably just believed something that I've read on. Well, that's what I wanted to say actually. Like,
What?
have you seen that stuff about the TikTokers being briefed by governments?
I saw a video of like Russian TikTokers all saying the same thing.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, have you not seen it?
Mm-mm.
Obviously, I don't know what they're saying because it was all in Russian, but the title was like Russian TikTokers spreading government propaganda, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then it put videos of like all sorts of different Russian TikTokers together, and then like three of them at a time would be saying like the exact same thing. It was so mental. I've not seen anything else from like other countries. I just saw that one article.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it was like
Like that.
some of the
Like that clip of the American news,
yeah, it was like
and
that
it like
where they're like
pans back out, and there's like more and more and more saying the same thing.
yeah, saying the exact same thing. Maybe it was exactly like that.
That's wild.
And some of the TikTokers were like blue ticked as well. It was weird.
Well, that was the thing. I read a Vice News article about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what you seen it on? Because I never watched a video on that. But basically, the headline was Russian TikTok influencers are being paid to spread Kremlin propaganda. But have you seen that?
Yeah, I think it was that.
Have you seen that they're also doing it in the US though?
I'm not surprised. What have you seen any?
I've not seen any, but like have you not seen the news where I think it was CBS said the White House briefed social media influencers on Ukraine crisis
Why?
because they're just spreading propaganda.
I know, but why would you let that be known?
I don't know, like, but that's the way that the news was presented it here. Well, not
Right.
here, obviously, in the US, but like in the West, compared to the exact same thing happening. You know what I mean? Russia are out there telling their TikTokers to do it, and
Yeah.
then the US are like literally briefing social media influencers at the White House about Ukraine. I'll try and find that article. It was
Wonder
wild.
what they told them. Surely they've not. Surely they've not given them like insider knowledge.
Nah, but it'll be like telling. I was thinking it was like telling them how. Yeah, not like how to report on it. Basically, probably includes like I don't know. I don't want to say anything that's libelous.
I don't think
Mate, the US will
the
do
US
it.
government are going to come after you.
They might. But yeah, no, I just thought that was wild that was happening. Because do you think you would fall for that? I think really they're doing that because
Do you think I would fall for US government propaganda? Absolutely.
I think you would. I think I'd probably fall for it. See,
What do you mean? I think you would, and then you're like, oh, I think I might fall for it. You 100% would.
No, I never said might. I said I would fall for it.
No,
100%. Like, see, when I was doing my research for this,
yeah.
I was well. Can't really call it research, but I seen a TikTok, and it said NASA had hired 26 priests and theologians, of major religions, to find out how people will react to aliens. And I was like, oh, that's
Right.
mental. So I wrote it down, and I was like, it's one of my talking points. And then the next day, I was looking at my talking points, and I was like, how do I even know that's true? Like, I just seen that on TikTok. So I put it into Google. Like, I just typed NASA hires 26 priests and theologians. And the first 6 results, like just the ones you could see,
Yeah.
it was like headlines saying, no, NASA hasn't hired 26 priests and theologians.
Were you like that? Oh, that's that Russian misinformation getting me.
So I can't believe I fell for that one.
Okay, I had the same thing, but I never researched it. But I'd literally just saw, or maybe it was a headline or something, but it was Russia have threatened to like strand some US astronaut who's on the International Space Station.
Oh, really? What the fuck?
Yeah,
Can they do that?
so, well, is it not Russia that do like the transport now to and from the International Space Station? So
No idea. I'm not. I'm not really clued up in astronaut news.
yeah, so you say. But yeah, that just came to my mind because you had mentioned NASA as well. But I don't have really much more to say on it. I genuinely thought you were going to say NASA have hired like,
Do you know what it was? They paid a study.
right. So it was like a half truth.
Yeah.
Right, that's not so bad. I thought you were going to say
Wait,
to
what?
ask them like NASA found God. One needs to come and speak to them, and whoever's right, come and let us know.
Oh, actually, Howling. I just googled it again, and the top one's like, NASA hasn't just hired 24 theologians to study future discovery of aliens, but it says NASA did fund a program undertaken by 24 theologians. Am I saying that right? Theologians? To study how major religions would react to the discovery of alien life, but not to directly hire the academics. The NASA funding for the program ended in 2017. So what? They've funded people to study it. How's that not hiring them?
Oh, they're not NASA employees.
Yeah, they're not employed.
but
That's a
But
weird way to.
you can fund like studies at different like research centers or universities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that means they've got aliens, and they're like, right, let's break it to them easy. I hope they don't do it like they now.
Where do you think the alien? Where do you think the aliens keep their armies?
Up their sleeves. Aliens don't have sleeves.
They might.
That's true.
How would you know that? How can you say that with your full chest, confidently? Aliens don't have sleeves.
Well, right. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that again.
Have you seen that Don't Look Up?
I have seen Don't Look Up. I quite enjoyed it.
Really?
Have you seen it?
I thought it was alright.
I had been told though that it was like really, really, really good. So
Oh, really? By who?
everybody that had seen it was like, "Oh, it's class." So because of that, I was kind of expecting it to be like pure disappointing, and I was like, you know, it was actually alright.
It was alright, but see, at the same time, like, none of them are doing that.
But
I don't know.
it was just a film.
I know, but Leonardo DiCaprio was kicking about in a super yacht. Like,
I know.
just after it.
Aye, it was just a film.
I know, but it's annoying, them doing that.
It is.
Do you not think so?
Yes, but
I'm not raging about it.
Are you sure? You sound like upset about it.
Oh, I'm fuming, mate. I'm fizzing.
I thought it was an alright film, but
I thought the film was good as well.
yeah, sure.
Feel up to that. How mental is it, Brewdog, are making those beers? Those United for Ukraine beers?
I know, they're actually shameless.
They are.
It's so embarrassing. Like, everyone knows now that they're full of shit. And they're still trying to be like, oh, look at us, we're the cool rogues of beer. Yeah. James Watt. He's the owner, isn't he? James
Yeah.
Watt.
Yeah.
Prick. Did you watch the
Well,
the Well, in my opinion, he is a prick. He looks like one.
I'm not questioning it. What were you saying?
Um,
Did I watch what?
did you watch the BBC?
Oh, the
What
Mad
was it?
Panorama.
Yeah, it was like BBC Scotland's version of Panorama. Did you watch it?
No, I never watched it.
Mate,
I would just get too annoyed.
yeah, you would don't
And I
watch
already
it.
know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, are you surprised that they've launched a beer
I'm not
for
surprised
UK?
at all. Not surprised at all.
Do you like Brewdog beer?
I've never drank it, and I never will.
You never had even one?
No. Do you like
I
it?
would,
Is it good?
No, I think they take things like
Too far.
they can never. You know, they've got a couple. They've got a couple of like okay beers, but everything else is like over hopped, and I don't know. They feel like they try and overcomplicate everything. But I admit, I actually do find it funny that they still are trying to be like
That
with things like
image.
this, like that image, yeah. But at the same time, trying to change their image. They're. I don't know if it's a current advert, but it was. It used to be on during football. It was like Beer for All or something like that. We're the world's favourite beer. Some shit like that. You can't have it both ways, and at the same time be like being pursued by your former and current employees for terrible, terrible staff treatment, and documentaries being made about your founder being like treating your staff poorly, and also like sexual harassment, making staff uncomfortable. Yeah, I think they should just give up and fuck off now.
I agree. I do concur with that elegantly put statement.
Thank you.
They literally do anything to improve their image apart from improve the working conditions for their staff.
Yeah, like I heard. Do you know what? It's not even like I heard some staff members say that like see in terms of like just bar workers and that and the hospitality industry that Brewdog for a lot of people isn't like the worst bar to work in, but that is mainly because the hospitality industry is terrible for like worker conditions and stuff. So it's not difficult not to be the worst. But when you're saying that we're so different and we care, it's very, very important to be nowhere near like the bottom of that list. So it's still a massive fail for them.
I can't see them ever like losing customers though.
Mate,
I think the people that go
watch the
there
documentary.
pure don't care.
What do you mean?
Like the people that go to Brewdog by now surely just don't care about the shit that they've been up to.
But at the same time, a lot of people are like ignorant to that sort of thing. I mean, it's
Yeah, you're right.
the same as we're in a situation now where things have got so bad people don't really understand important. So, right, I'll give you an example. With Unite, went to the abandoned ship picket in Glasgow in like January. Now, for like us, see if I was in like a restaurant or a bar sitting having a drink, like I mean, even somewhere could have been the case that you like they could have not been from Glasgow and were through. I think it was on a Friday night or something like that. And you don't know too much about the bar, and then a picket happens outside from like a trade union. It was the case that night that there was staff from that place and like other venues from McMurray who own them. I mean, I would stand up and get out because that's just showing solidarity to like workers. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, but you have people that one won't care, and potentially because of their politics as well, they'll be like, "Oh, that's a fucking load of shit" and whatever. And other ones just won't really know what's going on. And I mean, we had it. We're standing, and there's like steaming people coming up and be like, "What's this? Like, what's this all about?" And we'd
Yeah.
have to be like, "Oh, people are having like a really awful time at work and being treated really poorly, and this and that." And they'd be like, "Oh, right, okay," and then just kind of sort it off. Like
Yeah.
that's what you're kind of. It's like apathy that you're battling just now, because people don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's they don't think that they should have the protections that like trade unions and that offer. But I don't know. I've gone off on a mental tangent about hospitality. But we're
No.
talking about Brewdog.
Yeah, no, keep going back. Let's keep going. It's cool.
I know, but I kind of lost track of where I was going with it. But you kind of get. I mean, that's what everyone's fighting, and that's the state of hospitality
In general, yeah.
in general. So I think people, it's easy to be like, see watching that documentary. That's why I was asking if you'd watched it. There was guys that were talking about the. So when you were saying people who like Brewdog and drink Brewdog, it was talking about the punks with equity thing, which is where Brewdog have like got their like huge cash injections from, up until a point where they got into the private equity market. But the punks with equity allowed like their fans and the followers of their beer, because they were like craft beer, and it was like a little like subculture movement, of sorts. That's how they got their cash injections, and then all of a sudden, like I think they said like, "Oh, we'll never sell out. We'll never sell out," obviously, because they're like punks. And then they get in bed. I can't even remember the private equity firm, but they get in bed with this private equity firm. They give them a different share class to the punks with equity. So all of a sudden, like the people who have been supporting the company, buying the beer, influencing the company, and like financing it, all of a sudden their shares are diluted. The investment that they put in is like. Obviously, it means nothing. So those people, for the most part, have turned on Brewdog, being like, "Well, we're the ones that we got you into this position to be this big fucking giant company," and they get turned on because there was a chance for more quick money instead of just, I don't know, staying true to their roots, which is what people kind of expect companies like that to do. But then obviously they don't, because they're companies trying to make money still.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like fetishization of small business. It's the same end result every time.
It's because the issues are systemic, innit?
Yeah,
That is really the
far
core
right
of it.
that tangent was.
Feel good. Got it all out.
Yeah,
It knows.
no, I genuinely feel like I've just took a wee deep breath there, and I was like, that was good. Got that out.
Do you see the Reclaim the Streets campaign won their case against the Met Police?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I think that was their day.
I've missed so much news this week.
What day's today? Sunday? It was
Sunday.
Friday. It was ruled that the police's handling of the vigil was not in accordance with the law.
So what happens now? Probably nothing still.
Yeah,
But
probably none.
a full independent review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be so independent.
But that is at least a good. I don't know. Does that set any precedent for?
I'm not sure actually.
Like the Met, maybe even just the Met Police handling
That's a good
public
question.
events.
Nah, I don't think it never comes from this.
I think you should change the name of this podcast series to, like, nothing ever changes.
That's not true.
I know.
We can get there.
I know, but just like having these conversations, it's.
It does seem like a good one for them, but at the same time, like, it doesn't really change the role of police in society, which is where the issue really comes from.
Yeah.
I don't think the police will ever be able to repair the relationship with women, because like their role is to defend the system. That's why they exist. exist to defend capital.
Yeah.
And when
That-
like
That's skewed to
men,
yeah.
yeah, it's like a patriarchal system. So how are women supposed to ever be able to feel safe in a society that will enact violence to enforce patriarchal norms?
Hmm.
So, but that's not to say that it doesn't, like, going back to your last thing, nothing ever changes.
No,
That it's about knowing your enemy and knowing what it is, and your enemy is the system that perpetuates this.
well, a good way to see how things do change and how to change things is by listening to your other podcast episodes with like all sorts of people who are doing that.
Yeah. That said, though, like, there's already communities that are at the forefront of showing how to create a culture and a community and a society that's centered around women in a way that doesn't oppress them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got the Zapatista communities
Yeah,
in Mexico that have, like, done unreal with that. Do you know, like, seeing all Zapatista territory, alcohol's banned because Mexico used to have a massive problem. Oh, still does have a massive problem with, like, domestic violence.
violence. Yeah,
And Zapatista women said that occurred to them most when, like, their husbands were drunk. So they said, if we're going to live in this territory, then you need to make one of the laws that alcohol's illegal, and it's illegal. And, like, since then, it's made a massive difference to their lives.
wow.
But because they control their own territory, they've got the autonomy to do that. But we have no say in our life. We have, like, barely any democracy. So we need to kind of find those moments where we can utilise the democracy we have and build momentum towards having our own autonomous communities. Because realistically, the only way, like, they brought down domestic violence just by listening to the women.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
great.
that really happens within our society.
Exactly. Like how mental is that? That's um like the obvious sort of solution, not solution, but like okay, what direction do we move in? Okay, why don't we ask? Like, why don't we speak to the people who have actually been affected by this and what would help them? That's like a. It's obviously not a radical approach, but it kind of feels like it is because it's not what usually happens
Yeah,
for us.
yeah.
Um,
But that's not to say, like, just and that would change everything. You still
well,
have to,
obviously,
like, change the rest of the system as well.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's just something that happens in the private house, but that doesn't really have an effect on the violence enacted through the state and stuff like that. I think, like, that's just, for me, it's the way to go in it. Just self-governance. You don't actually we don't need these centralised power structures that just bend to private will and just deplete all the resources. We don't really need that.
no, we don't at all need that.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's the thing as well. Like, one of the notable differences between, like, the Zapatistas and here was they're defending the land that they have, whereas in Scotland, pretty much everyone's been stripped of the land.
well, what was the? How many people is it that own 50% of?
That's like 400,
Yeah,
432, maybe. People own over 50% of rural Scotland. And in the Western world, at least, that's one of the most unequal land distributions.
it's crazy. Why do you think? Why do you think that here? Do you remember in was it Argentina and you were talking to someone and they were talking about like you were talking about Iron Brew taking the sugar out and they were like, oh, so how many people protested
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which is obviously like
Surely that was sarcasm.
I don't know, but
Nah, actually,
no, I
I
don't
think
think
it
so.
was. No.
It's like so that my point was going to be that's obviously to the extreme like protesting like every little change, right?
Well,
But
yeah, because they were so unionised, weren't they? Like, how many times within that month of being in Argentina did we walk outside our where we're staying in Buenos Aires and there would be a demonstration?
yeah,
There was even, like, just union gatherings, sorry, where they would, like, just hang about in the street, drink beer, hang some banners out and set fireworks off and have flags and drums and all that.
I've got pictures of I think it was our first night in Buenos Aires, and we we're stood watching this group with like banners and drums and like trumpets, and I don't know if they had like smokes and stuff like that. Well, we heard fireworks, that's why we went along.
Yeah, they were setting fireworks off when we were there.
And we were like, "Oh, I wonder what this football team is." Pure couldn't find
I
it.
know.
It was a Union branch.
Yeah, I think it was because I was like zooming in on my map, and that's what it said the building was.
Oh yeah, but cult. I mean, I don't even think it's just that it's heavily unionised, because I mean, remember the.
Oh, did you not see those demonstrations though?
Yeah, but do you remember the size of the demonstrations for the pro-abortion laws?
Yeah,
And stuff like that. I mean, that wasn't unions. It said that was students that was organised by
student
obviously,
unions.
I know, but but it was like a lot more like loosely like affiliated. Like it was just didn't have to be like
Yeah,
trade union.
yeah. No, I do know what you mean. Like
Trade union organising. It wasn't just like
that's what I mean because it's not being crushed.
Yeah,
Because it's not being crushed. Like that's kind of a culture's developed around it.
yeah. We
Yeah.
don't have that.
No, we don't have that at all. Like it was wild, wasn't it? You turned up and there was like people with barbecues and that
Yeah,
making choripan.
but I do find that quite funny as well, because Argentina is kind of like an economic and like sort of like governmental, I guess, political like anomaly, where I think it's really hard to predict for like the experts and stuff what's going to happen with their economy, what's going to happen with their politics, and what's going to get through. I think it's really difficult for them to get things through and keep people happy, because people will just voice their like displeasure. Like millions of people will voice their displeasure at the drop of a hat, which is class.
You're right. We
People
definitely
should
don't
do
have that here. We definitely
Yeah.
don't have that here.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the closest thing. That's why I think. I think that's why the independence campaign was so exciting, because I mean that was huge. I think I'm not sure how a next independence referendum will feel, because I mean, again, we spoke about this before. I don't know if it was on last week's or if it was on my podcast episode with you, but I mean, since straight after the independence referendum, we had Brexit, snap elections, Brexit again, more COVID, and like everything happening. People are really tired about it. But during the first referendum campaign, everybody was like so excited and so like politically engaged and politically active. And it was definitely on my podcast episode, because we're talking about I2 and the stuff that came from it. And that, like, again, it just shows how important like being involved in that sort of stuff is, because you get some like amazing results out the back of it.
democracy manifest, innit?
Yeah,
Like just
that
people
reminded-
getting together with their communities and deciding what to do about what's happening in the community and then making that change.
yeah.
Just a pain in the arse that like that's the way that change has to be made. Do you know what I mean? Like
Well, I don't know.
it's just a pain in the arse. It's a fight in the first place.
Yeah,
Because we're just asking for pure basic things, public services.
I don't know if you wanted to talk about this just now, but I kind of think this is like a bit of a segue into the stuff about Inchconnecan.
Mhm.
Just because. So we were talking about is it Kirsty McCall?
I thought it was Kirsty Young.
Kirsty Young. Who's Kirsty McCall? Is that the Pogues? The one that did the.
Yeah.
Did you know how she died?
Stop it.
Wait,
what am I looking up again?
I don't know. I
Kirsty
think
Young.
we were looking. Kirsty Young.
Ah, yeah, it was a television presenter.
Yeah, and do you know who her husband is?
Frank Lampard. Mick
What?
Jones.
So who's that?
An English restaurateur and club proprietor.
So they bought Inchconnecan, the island on Loch Lomond, which is now famous for having been the home to a colony of wallabies.
Yeah.
For how long for?
What do you mean? How long have they been there since? I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's the 60s or something.
So Kirsty Young's plan has been to, I think she wanted to open some sort of like visitor centre on the island, move the wallabies somewhere else, don't know where, and build like a visitor centre so people could go and visit the island. Now, was it Woodland Trust? The Woodland Trust have opposed this and have been like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like suggest not moving. Like, well, where would they move? Where would they move the wallabies to? Like, they were.
It was
I
literally.
thought
We've been there since the end of World War Two.
right then the World War Two. They were an invasive species, obviously coming from Australia, or like non-native species,
Yeah.
coming over from Australia, and like that island has had to. I don't know, mate. I imagine some sort of like adaptation over the last 70 years, 80 years, and like moving them somewhere else and having to do the same thing, and also on top of that, building a visitor centre just is to be like to talk about how important like islands like this are and the habitats on the islands are, to then
Build it like.
level parts of it to build like platforms and like welcome hub and stuff like that, and a little like information bit. Like you can do that so much less destructively.
Yeah.
And on top, we
Just
already
build it
have
in. Just build it in Luss. Like
yeah, we already have visitor centres and stuff like that.
Inchcornigan's are like a paddle across the
Yeah.
water from Luss.
We already have stuff like that. Like
Here,
just
see when we go there
leave
next.
it alone.
We need to go from Luss. Need to stop going there from Balmaha.
Like a full day paddle to get there.
To be
Like,
fair, that's quite
the
it's quite a good paddle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last time was
stopping on the islands on the way over is nice.
yeah, island
But
hopping.
Luss as well. I mean, Luss not so much easier to get to as well, just because it's like an A road all the way along to it.
Here, we could do a part 2 about the wallabies. I'm going to be buying a camera. We should do that soon. But
yeah, we'll prepare them to fight Kirsty Young.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, just
Strap knife to their
raise
hands.
attention about this. But see
That'd be
the same time. Like, I don't really. I don't know.
I don't really care about them.
I was going to say they're not supposed to be there, though, are they?
No.
Do you know the island? The islands are a special scientific interest site, and they're a conservation area.
Yeah.
They've got like endangered birds and all that on them.
Ancient woodland.
Yeah, ancient woodland. It's pretty much what Scotland would look like across this kind of central belt if it wasn't
Ravaged.
pillaged, man, for its wood. Not a tree will survive. But it's such a interesting thing, isn't it? Like those wallabies being on a Scottish island.
Yeah.
Do you know what I was thinking as well, though? We could make it better by the next time we go, stay 2 nights. So we've got a full day on the island.
See, to be honest, we probably could.
I mean, or you could just go from Luss in the morning and spend the full day.
Or see, because of the Scotland games called off, I've still got that day off, but we could do that at weekend.
We're probably going to get tickets for a friendly, though.
Poland game. No, surely they'll make us buy them.
Nah, you kidding on?
Why?
Oh, well, they might actually.
Because the proceeds will probably go to Ukraine, and then
and then you just keep your original ticket
for the next one. Yeah.
What? So you're wanting to go then? Oh, because you have that time off.
Yeah, because I've already booked the day off.
What day? Friday.
Friday.
So you go Friday, and then it's
Friday
Saturday.
Night and Saturday night.
That's the thing. I don't know if I have got a camera by then. I wanted to make another video. Oh, I could use the one I've got now. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
But it's a bit shit. It's a bit shit compared to what we're going to be. Well, that's the thing. I was thinking, see if we spent 2 nights there, you can get up in the morning, and I think they'll come out at like dawn and dusk.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have much more time to just focus on that than paddling all the way from Balmaha. So what do you think is the right thing to do about the wallabies? I'm in agreement that there shouldn't be a visitor centre on the island. The islands don't need developed any more than they are. They're like the last enclaves of proper nature that we have.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that there's no like ferry service over to them. There's one that out in the water that kind of goes past and shows.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I actually still howl so much thinking about the last time we were there.
why?
Because in the morning the ferry was going by and they were giving a tour. Do you remind us how raging you got? Oh, it was so
No.
funny. Do you not remember this? The ferry tour was going round and you could hear them talking about the animals on the island and I started making monkey noises.
You've made that up.
I've not made that up. And you were like, mate, shut up, stop it. You were so embarrassed by it.
Wait, you've made that up. That was joke. I do remember that, and it was.
I was actually howling
heavy
so much.
embarrassment. You're saying that like that's the one time you did it as well. So, because there was other people that were staying around the other side of the islands.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're kidding on. Like you made this joke. You did this for like a laugh one time. As if that's not a normal thing you do. Pure outed yourself there. Well done.
I just want to convince everyone there's monkeys living nearby. Why is that such a bad thing? What would you do though if you're like on one of those islands and you actually see a monkey?
Do you think there's people that are pure conspiracy theorists about
What about monkeys?
the wallabies?
In what way?
They're not real.
Oh really?
Aye, and then you'll be like
Surely not.
You'll be the fake news.
Surely not with videos of it.
Mate, there's people who think they're
True.
True.
True, there is people that think that. Not true, that's...
Joe Rogan over here.
Shut up. Not spreading any misinformation. Mate, I actually seen one of the funniest tweets ever. It was spreading the style of Instagram infographic. And the caption was, I was today years old when I learned that going to the bathroom is literally a response to collective anxiety. And then the picture says, going to the bathroom is not normal. And then it's like a graph that says like average urination / bowel movements per day. And like since the 1900s, urinations has skyrocketed to above 8 per day from like 1, and bowel movements has went up to over 2. But honestly, I was actually laughing so much because it's just the kind of there's people like people replying going, no way is this real, like this isn't accurate whatsoever. And one of the hilarious things about the graph is like it starts from like the 1500s till now, and in like 1750 there's like a spike and the urinations, and everyone's just like, and the reply saying any word on the spike and piss numbers around then. Around 1950, what the hell was going on? But see, when I was looking at it, I was like, I can't even tell if that's a bam up or not. No, I'm kidding on. But I could see why people would fall for that. But I was actually laughing so much seeing people fall for that.
Because you were like, well, that was close.
Yeah, that was close. I actually can't take anything real on the internet. Especially after seeing those things, see what we were talking about earlier with the TikTok stars that are being briefed on both sides by their government.
There's so much misinformation.
Yeah, I actually don't believe anything I read about it anymore. Like genuinely see the Ukraine tweets.
Like the Ghost of Kiev stuff. Yeah, I so badly want that to be true though. Like that's such a cool story.
What is the story? Because all I've heard is that it's a metaphor for their whole air force.
No, I'm sure it made today or maybe yesterday. But I read today. Some Ukrainian, like, I think, like, I don't know if it was their like military page or their government page, posted a picture of the supposed guy, but
I know, and it was a picture of the guy in a jet, and he was looking to the camera.
Aye,
that's from 2019.
What?
That picture?
Holding the missile.
Oh, holding the missile? No, it
No,
was the guy sitting on the plane.
yeah, mate, he is sat in a plane.
Yeah. It was probably in the Kiev Independent.
Yeah, it was. But just you were asking like what it is about that guy. There's supposedly some Russian jet fighter that has shot down over 50.
Ukrainian, you mean?
I was like, did I just say Russian there? Yeah, Ukrainian jet fighter that shot down over 50 Russian planes
Yeah.
over Kiev, and he's called the Ghost of Kiev, and is supposed to be this legendary, iconic figure.
I think you've got
I
to be
don't,
like 5 years old to believe that. To be
I don't
honest.
care. I don't care if it's not true. It's a cool thing. Same as all the stories about like World War Two when you like.
See the most kills that a pilot's ever had is 17 in their career. And apparently this Ghost of Kiev has shot in like 49 planes or something in like the
I think
past
it's
2 weeks.
you're a mate, shut up. It's cool. You're just an unbeliever. I believe in the Ghost of Kiev.
You're mental. It was supposed to be 6 planes that he shot down, which was why everyone was going mental over him.
Is that not like on the first day or something?
I don't know. Surely a lot of shite, man.
I like that we've come back round to Ukraine.
I can't get away with it, can you?
No. To be honest, I wasn't even joking when I said that I've kind of missed loads of news. I've just been pure busy this week, and I sat down Friday night and I was talking to Fraser about it, and I was like, "What's happened in Ukraine like this week?" And he was like, "Oh, there's like pictures came out of mass graves, and
Mass graves?
yeah,
What
there's
the
been
hell?
reports of just like open fire on civilians become a lot more frequent. I saw just before we came on that I googled his name.
David
Brent Renaud, who is an award-winning US filmmaker, did stuff for like Vice, New York Times, won awards and stuff like that. He's been killed in Ukraine
Oh, really?
filming, and one of his team was shot, or one of his team's also injured.
Yeah.
And I think it came out because some Ukrainian thing had posted pictures of his like I think US press credentials or
Yeah.
like documents. So yeah,
That's horrible.
it's just it's heavy and it's a lot, and like we say time and time again, I'm not surprised people kind of like tune out. I kind of feel like that's happened a little bit. Like, see, even just having like the radio on in the office, there's a lot less of like, and this is happening in Ukraine, and this is happening in Ukraine already. It usually is like a little longer before it starts to like fade out of like. Do you know what I mean? But I think people are kind of starting to switch off from it already, which is kind of insane.
I just read that there about that.
Brent.
Yeah, that's one of the top news things about Ukraine. Russia said ships transporting weapons to Ukraine could be considered legitimate military targets.
Cool.
Another potential escalation into it. Love that, man. What the hell? Households offered. Do you see that thing? Households offered £350 a month to host Ukrainian refugees as Britain opens its doors.
What? You should take. Do you have a spare room?
No. Do you think we've covered everything in the news? I don't think so. So much more to talk about.
No. What's happened? Another episode. I think everything was covered. Everything in global news.
Sorry if something bad happened and we never covered it. Well, that's the end of this. So thank you so much for listening and catch you after.